morning, everybody. Hope all of you are doing great. Let me just finish up that one last set. Hope everybody's doing great this morning. Had a question recently from an emailer who said, hey, Dave, do you ever do any old-fashioned bodybuilding workouts? Well, not like I used to, okay, way back in the day, but now what I like to do is definitely blast certain groups. And so what I thought I'd bring you today is a shoulder blasting routine, or essentially 5 shoulder exercises that I think you go ahead and use, and I guarantee it will get after your shoulders. Now here's the cool thing about this. I found that irregardless of the integrity of your rotator cuff, and obviously if it's in bad shape and very degenerative, it may be a more difficult thing. But what I find is this routine is actually easier on the shoulder and seems to go ahead and work much better with the people that have a little bit of impingement issues, a little bit of rotator cuff issues. And I think the reason is the band allows you to go in the plane of motion that your shoulder wants to go into. Now, is that a good thing? Well, it allows you to exercise. I still recommend that you try to clean up that impingement issue and that rotator cuff issue by doing some corrective exercise. So don't expect this to be the corrective exercise. But I think as you start to get back into it, you might find that this routine works a little bit better. I'll point out some reasons why as we go along. Let's go into exercise number 1. Just a front push press. You can do it several ways. You can go ahead and do it military-like, where you're just going ahead, locking in and locking overhead. All right? You can go ahead and use a little push press. Depending on the size of band you're using, you might have to get your hips involved. But notice, when I push up, I'm able to push apart, which I think puts you in the scapular plane, which ultimately allows you to go ahead and work your shoulders more successfully because you're not really engaging that rotator cuff and entrapping it by going straight overhead like you would with dumbbells or free weights, because you can't push apart with a free weight. You got to push straight overhead. So there's exercise number 1 and why I think it works pretty good. Exercise number 2, a little high pull. And you've seen me do this several times, but here again, as I come up, I can pull apart. Why is that important? Because I think it allows me to set my scapula, which in turn gives my rotator cuff a lot of friendly support. And so as a result, high pulls, especially with a little bit of a wide grip, seems to work pretty nicely versus a narrow grip. All right, so be aware of that, and let's get those high pulls going. Hey, let's go back to pressing again. Let's go ahead and step on the band and let's take it up overhead. And now we're going to go militaries. Now behind the neck presses, wow, let me tell you, not many people can do it, but once again, as I come down, I can pull the band apart and I can set that scapula, which allows me to go ahead, I think, not only and work on my postural stability of my upper back, but it also puts my rotator cuff in a much more friendly position. Exercise number 3, military presses. We're just going to step through the band, go ahead and knock out pull aparts. We can go low, we can go mid-range, we can go high, however you want. You could even probably go high pulls over your head if you wanted to. Pull aparts are a great way to really engage that posterior rotator cuff, and guess what? We all need a ton of posterior rotator cuff engagement. Now the last one, stepping on the band. We're going to go overhead, but we're going unilateral. And what I like to do is start by teaching people straight overhead. But then what I like to do is drop into an explosion and really start teaching them how to explode overhead. Excellent exercise. Really like it. Transition, just step on it, drop it, and you're ready to go into the other side. So it's a real quick transition, get after it type exercise. Bonus exercise, but this is not for the rotator cuff people. Alright? Front raises. Now if you only have one band and you got to lighten up the resistance, I like to just put my hands here and do front raises like so. But let me tell you, clicking, popping, cracking in those shoulders, you better shut it down. You better find a different exercise, because you know what? Why this exercise is so demanding on the shoulder? It's too long of a lever arm. The resistance is way too far out. Now sometimes what I'll do is bring it in here and I'll go ahead and do front raises in there. But again, it's not the most conducive exercise. I highly recommend stay with my 5 ones first and knock them out. And here's how you do it real quick. I'm going to take 30 seconds and show you how to do this. We're going overhead presses. There you go, dropping down, high pulls. No problem, step, push, overhead, behind neck presses. Great. Step through, pull aparts. There you go. And then we're going to finish by just dropping it down, stepping on it, and banging out. Presses there, step through, step here, overhead. I'm all about efficiency and blasting those shoulders every now and then. Have a good time getting after those shoulders.